Jungkook once again brought ARMY around the world to tears after sharing a story that initially sounded simple. During a casual interaction with fans, he wasn't discussing BTS's achievements, concerts, or latest projects. Instead, he chose to talk about the one person who has always been by his side, Jimin. At the beginning of his story, Jungkook seemed relaxed, smiling several times as he recalled various moments with his best friend. He remembered how their bond had been formed over many years, enduring their trainee days, debut, and the long journey as members of BTS. However, the atmosphere gradually shifted when Jungkook began to talk about the difficult times he had experienced. He admitted that there were moments when he felt exhausted, lost his motivation, and even struggled to express his thoughts to others. That was when Jimin's name re-entered the conversation. According to Jungkook, Jimin was almost always the one who noticed his mood changes without ever being told. Even before Jungkook had a chance to ask for help, Jimin was already there to make sure he was alright. As the story progressed, Jungkook's voice began to tremble. He paused several times, trying to compose his emotions before continuing to the next sentence. A moment that started with smiles turned deeply touching. Shortly after, Jungkook appeared unable to hold back his tears any longer. With teary eyes, he tried to express his gratitude for having someone like Jimin, who always supported him without ever asking for anything in return or seeking recognition. He explained that many of the things Jimin did were never known to the public, not because they were intentionally hidden, but because Jimin simply never felt the need to tell anyone. Everything came naturally to him as a form of care for the people he loved. That confession instantly touched many ARMYs. While fans had often witnessed their warm interactions in front of the camera, they only now realized how many unseen moments occurred behind the scenes. Many fans began recalling past instances. Several noted that Jimin has always been known as someone who quietly cares for the other members, from making sure they eat and accompanying them when they're tired, to offering support without making a public show of it. Because of Jungkook's story, various old video clips began resurfacing on social media. Fans highlighted moments where Jimin could be seen watching over Jungkook from a distance, tidying his clothes, waiting for him to finish speaking, or simply offering a hug at just the right time. What made this story even more moving was the fact that Jungkook wasn't trying to create a dramatic moment. He simply wanted to express his gratitude to someone who had always been a shoulder to lean on throughout their long journey together. Many ARMYs felt that Jungkook's tears were proof that their bond wasn't just built on being in the same group, but on enduring years of highs and lows together. It was that shared history that made every word from Jungkook feel so genuine. Across various social media platforms, fans' reactions poured in, with many admitting they cried along with him. Some even expressed that they finally understood why Jungkook has always shown such deep respect and affection for Jimin. The story also brought a newfound appreciation for Jimin's personality. While he is mostly recognized for his dance skills, vocals, and stage presence, Jungkook's confession made fans realize that the most special side of Jimin is his quiet kindness, which the public rarely gets to see. Now, this simple story shared by Jungkook has turned into one of the most talked about topics among ARMY. Not because of any drama, but because fans felt they were granted a glimpse into a side of their friendship that had remained hidden. And after hearing his confession, one question naturally came to many minds. How much more of Jimin's kindness remains unknown to the public, only to be revealed through the stories of those closest to him? In the beginning, Jungkook appeared completely at ease, chuckling a few times as he recalled funny moments he had shared with Jimin over the years. His smile even drew laughter from fans watching the interaction, creating a warm, nostalgic atmosphere. But as the conversation shifted away from jokes and humorous memories to the small acts of care Jimin constantly showed him, his expression changed. The smile that had graced his face began to fade, replaced by a deeper look, as if he were revisiting each of those moments one by one. Several times, Jungkook took deep breaths before going on. He occasionally looked down and remained silent for a few seconds, as though searching for the exact words to describe his gratitude. Those brief pauses made the atmosphere even quieter, as fans could feel that what he was about to share was far more than just a typical memory. His tone of voice also shifted. If it was light and playful before, every word was now spoken more softly and carefully. He occasionally stopped mid-sentence, as if his emotions were taking over before his mind could construct the next thought. It was at that moment that many ARMYs began to realize this conversation carried a much deeper meaning than merely reflecting on friendship. Jungkook appeared to be fighting to hold back his feelings, But whenever he remembered how Jimin always showed up unprompted during his darkest times, his emotions became impossible to hide. Even before tears actually fell, the change in his expression and the tremor in his voice were enough to make fans feel the depth of his emotion. It didn't take long for video clips of Jungkook talking about Jimin to spread rapidly across social media platforms. Snippets depicting his expression transitioning from smiling to silence, and finally to being overwhelmed with emotion, quickly became a hot topic among ARMYs globally. Many fans admitted they didn't expect Jungkook to get so emotional when talking about Jimin. They believe his tears were entirely genuine, a spontaneous reaction to remembering someone who had provided so much support over the years. Comment sections were filled with emotional messages, with many stating that their friendship was so sincere it was hard to convey with words. Some fans confessed to crying along with him after hearing his confession. They pointed out how Jungkook repeatedly tried to calm himself down before continuing, which only highlighted the immense gratitude and love he felt for Jimin. For many ARMYs, this moment stood out as one of the most emotional admissions Jungkook had ever made regarding their relationship. On the other hand, many fans began re-uploading older videos showing Jimin's subtle acts of care toward Jungkook, from absent-mindedly straightening Jungkook's outfit, checking up on him between schedules, to standing by his side when things got tense. Scenes previously viewed as routine were now seen in a new light after hearing Jungkook's first-hand account. Many ARMYs shared that this confession gave them a deeper understanding of why the pair's bond has always been so strong, noting that it was built not just from spending years in the same group, but through the little acts of care offered without needing to be displayed to the world. Precisely because these actions were done quietly, Jungkook's story revealed a side of Jimin that was rarely seen by others. The moment Jungkook could no longer hold back his tears also sparked emotional discussions. For many people, crying while remembering someone doesn't necessarily stem from sadness. In many cases, tears arise from a profound sense of gratitude, appreciation, or love that is too vast to put into simple sentences. Such feelings often surface in long-standing relationships. When a person recalls all the support they have received, various memories flood back at once. Not just a single event, but a culmination of small kindnesses that may have gone largely unnoticed until recounted later. This was precisely what many fans saw in Jungkook's expression. He didn't burst into tears the moment he mentioned Jimin's name. Instead, his emotions built up gradually as he recalled how Jimin had been present during different phases of his life. That steady shift made ARMYs feel that his tears came naturally, rather than as a fleeting reaction. Some fans even noted that the long pauses Jungkook took were the most touching part of the entire story. Rather than rushing to finish his sentences, he seemed to be fighting to control his emotions so he could express his gratitude properly. It was those quiet moments that truly highlighted the deep significance of the story he was sharing. For ARMY, the confession served as a reminder that friendship isn't always demonstrated through grand, public gestures. Simple care, being present during tough times, and offering support without expecting recognition often leave the deepest impression. That is why Jungkook's story about Jimin resonated so deeply with so many people, even those watching from behind a screen. Ultimately, what kept this moment circulating was not simply that Jungkook cried, but that those tears represented something much greater: respect, trust, and a bond built over many years. To fans, those few minutes of simple conversation felt far more memorable than a lengthy speech full of praise. In the end, a simple admission from Jungkook led many ARMYs to view his relationship with Jimin from a fresh perspective. Not just as bandmates who are close on camera, but as two friends who have navigated every stage of life together, from their trainee days to debut and global stardom. What resonated most with fans was not just Jungkook's tears, but the undeniable authenticity of the moment. He wasn't promoting a new project or addressing a controversy. He simply wanted to thank someone who was always there during his hardest moments, and that pure sincerity is what touched millions of hearts.